Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chiquita, the animated skeptic. Today we're going to continue our discussion of the interview of Father Vince Lampert to the channel Capturing Christianity, and we're going to start discussing the medical triage. But first, remembering what we discussed, it's important that we remember that all humans, being religious or not, first devise interpretations about the world before interacting with it, which is what we saw in the last section, in the first video. So we have an interpretation before seeing the world, and receive more interpretations through our senses to adjust to our first interpretation. So both what we think first and what we receive from our senses are already interpretations. So try to remember how many times I said interpretation now. So let's analyze the process of medical triage. He says, when the doctors can't diagnose the illness, or they can't explain the causes as being natural, that's when we consider it to be a demon. So what is the problem with this claim? What Father Vince describes about the medical triage is what we call in logic an argument from ignorance. And that I don't say as an insult, but it's just a common mistake that people make when devising an argument. Can you spot where the mistake is in this particular argument? I will repeat. He says, when the doctors can diagnose an illness, or they can't explain the causes as natural, that's when we consider it to be a demon. What is the problem with this claim? Pause the video and think for yourself how this is a problem. So, did you find the problem? Well, the problem is quite simple. The fact is, if any single doctor can't diagnose an illness or problem, that doesn't automatically make that problem as demonic in nature. Of course, Father Vince will give some evidence to support his claims, but making a medical triage, it is not the end of the discussion. Think of it in this form of an argument. I don't know what it is, therefore, it is my preferred theory that will fit the data. Repeating, I don't know what it is, therefore, it is my preferred theory that will fit the data. This is the exact form of an argument from ignorance, a fallacy, a logical fallacy. Let's say instead of a Christian belief, I was a deep believer in aliens. So everything I explain about the world, it's related to aliens. So in this case, the doctor can't diagnose my disease. Therefore, it was an alien that was the cause. So can you see how any argument can substitute the second part of the claim? What in this case he could say to make the claim more accurate would be the doctors can find the cause and we have evidence to support it is a possession. So in this case, you would not be claiming that he is possessed, that you know he is possessed. Rather, you will be saying that it is possible that he is possessed, or it is probable that he is possessed, because evidence 1, 2, 3, etc. So there is a problem when you say the word, I know he is possessed. So I don't know what is the cause, says the doctor. Therefore, I know that the cause is a demon. That is not only a problem of epistemology, because we can't know what exactly is, as we discussed before in the first video. We don't know anything about the world and reality. We don't actually know things. We interpret things about the world. So we have imperfect image of what the world really is. We don't have a perfect image, so we can't know things as they are. We simply believe that things are this and that way. So, to be more specific about the problems in this argument, doctors misdiagnose patients all the time. And second, doctors are still fallible and have a limit to their knowledge. There is always the possibility of a disease they don't know or don't know how to recognize, or that they came across something that is still not known in the field. In fact, I live with a psychiatrist, my father, that has more than 40 years of experience in the field, and he will say with that most cases, diseases that are difficult to diagnose are misdiagnosed. This is not something that is very uncommon or rare in the field. The second important thing to discuss is that Father Vince considers only Tourette syndrome and schizophrenia in his descriptions of what could be the causes of mental illness that seem to appear as possessions. Maybe he mentions more in his book, but in the other interviews and other talks he gives, he never seen him mention dissociative disorders, multiple personality disorders, or psychosis, and many others that can very well fit in the description of possession. I will leave a link in the description of an article from 2008 that describes this very thing. I discussed it with a psychologist and a psychiatrist about how these mental illnesses can be confused with possession. In summary of this revision of the literature made on this article that I will put in the description, that the title is Differential Diagnosis Between Spiritual Experiences and Mental Disorders of Religious Content. I will leave a passage of the abstract in the screen so you can pause and read, and we're going to move forward from there. So, if you read the text, there are several signs you should look for in the personal life and social life of the subject to distinguish an unknown phenomenon or a religious experience from natural causes. The history of the person, the history of diseases, if he or she is involved in the belief, if he or she has doubts about the experience, and most importantly, what they say is that the data suggests that there are not enough well-controlled studies, which is an important subject we are going to discuss further in the matter. Most of the religious experiences, like possession, people don't have the permission to study in a controlled environment, and then afterwards, people will simply claim that the supernatural happened. So we have to take their word for it. In one of his videos that I will leave in the description, Father Vince talks to an audience in Texas that videos are not made from the sessions of exorcism because this is something the church doesn't do for fear of vain curiosity. So, my question is it vain curiosity, wanting to know the truth about the reality of the spiritual realm, or the existence of the supernatural, or the claims made by the church of possession? So, is this a vain curiosity or a genuine interest in finding the truth? One of the distinctions between a person with a pre-existing belief in the supernatural and a skeptic is that the nature and quality of the evidence necessary to convince both of them are different. But in the end, it does not mean he doesn't want to find the truth. It's not vain curiosity. So usually a Christian believes in the testimony, in the source and nature given by testimony. But testimonies are personal and very subjective experience that people with different backgrounds will not accept as a sole proof of a claim. Expecting otherwise is to mock and disdain the genuine attempts of people trying to find the truth. So it's not that they don't want to find the truth. It's not that they simply ignore the evidence. It's simple that the nature of the evidence has a problem. On the next video, we're going to continue the analysis of the signs of possession. And as I always say, don't accept things as they appear, and always ask questions.